Welcome, dear students. In the last class, we have discussed the different types of incinerators. We have seen that the incinerators may be classified into three categories based on the purpose. It may be classified as domestic, commercial, and municipal incinerators. Again, based on the number of chambers, they may be classified as single chamber incinerators and multi-chamber incinerators. Based on the technology, it may be classified as mass burning system or the RDF system, that is the refuse derived fuel system. Also, we have seen that we have already discussed three types of incinerators that are more prevalent in the industry because of their applicability to a large scale use and their versatility, namely the rotary kiln incinerator, fluidized bed incinerator, and the liquid injection incinerators. It is one characteristic that all these three types of incinerators share, that is they are all possible to be operated in a pyrolysis mode or in an oxygen starved mode. So now in this class we will be discussing the remaining types of incinerators, namely the multiple hearth incinerator and the catalytic combustion incinerator. So multiple hearth incineration or multiple hearth incinerator. You can see in the figure shows or it illustrates the basic multiple hearth design. So these were originally developed for ore roasting, and it consists of a furnace which is cylindrical in shape, and it has multiple levels and a central rotating shaft with attached agitating arms. So in this case, the sludge is actually supplied at the highest level and it moves down through the multiple hearths by the movement or the rotation and agitation. And again, the combustion air is injected at the bottom of the furnace and it moves counter current with the sludge. Here the drying takes place in the upper hearths of the furnace as a result of the counter current combustion gases. This is a multiple hearth incineration. Now coming to the next type, that is the catalytic combustion incinerator. So here you can see this is a typical catalytic combustion incinerator. So it is actually a control device and it's mainly used to oxidize the volatile organic compounds. Volatile organic compounds are also called as VOCs. So this is done by using a catalyst which promotes the combustion process. So in this process, catalyst is being added during the process of incineration in order to promote the process of combustion. And catalytic incinerators, the main advantage is that they require lower temperatures than the normal conventional thermal incinerators. So in one way, it is actually saving the fuel and also the other costs. In this case, we are adding a catalyst which is used to burn or combust the waste. So this is a catalytic combustion incinerator. So in fact, the three incinerators that we have discussed in the previous class, namely you have seen this rotary kiln, the fluidized bed and the liquid injection. These are the most commonly used, and of course we use other two types also, which is not very common. Now coming to the advantages of an incineration process. We know that incineration, when we compare it to the landfilling process, this is more hygienic because in this case we are burning the whole waste. So what happens is after complete burning of the waste, we see that most of the pathogens get destroyed in this process. And another major advantage is that there is no odor produced, whereas in the process of landfilling, what happens is the surrounding area there will be a there will be odor which actually causes some difficulty to the people living in the surrounding area. So in the process of incineration, what happens is that since the waste is completely burnt, there will be no odor or a problem related to the odor. And another main thing is that here the heat generated, that is we already said that incineration is a process where it's a thermal process where there is release of great amount of heat. So this heat that is generated may be used for raising the steam power. So this is also one major advantage. and the end product of incineration like the clinkers etc., that may be used for various other purposes. For example, they may be used for the construction of road, or in the road work as a subgrade or something, we can use the clinkers that are produced from the incineration process. Another major advantage of incineration process is that the requirement of the space. So compared to a landfilling, we have seen that in the landfilling process, the major disadvantage is that we require a larger area, whereas in the case of incineration process, the incinerator needs to be installed at a place which has a comparatively lesser area when you compare it to the landfilling process. So that is also another major advantage of the incineration process. Also, in the incineration process can take place even in the case of adverse weather condition, because here the burning happens inside a chamber or a furnace which is enclosed. So there is no effect of weather on this process. So this is again a major advantage of a incineration process. So as listed here, these are the various advantages of incineration process. It's hygienic. There is complete destruction of the pathogens. There is no odor problem. Heat generated may be used for steam power. The clinkers etc. or the end product of incineration may be used for road construction. Space required is comparatively lesser than other processes, and of course it may be operated even in adverse weather conditions. Now coming to the disadvantages of incineration process. Here again the initial cost is very high. So the initial cost or the initial expense of installing an incineration plant is very high. Moreover, we have a complete attention or care is required, or we need somebody to monitor the process, because what happens is, if in the case of incomplete combustion, what happens is that leads to release of various other gaseous elements which may lead to air pollution. So care and attention is required in this case, so that complete combustion occurs, and in order to avoid the air pollution. And also the residues that is being left over after the incineration process needs to be disposed of. So that also is a disadvantage. And another major disadvantage is that bringing the waste or transporting and transferring the waste from the point of generation or collection to the incineration site, it requires a number of vehicles and other equipments for this process. So this again is a disadvantage for incineration. We require large number of vehicles for the solid waste to be transported to the site of incineration. So these are the advantages and the disadvantages of incineration process. Now next we will be discussing the incinerator effluent gas composition. So we know that the incineration of municipal waste involves the generation of climate relevant emissions. So these are the various gaseous pollutants that are formed on account of incineration process. As listed below, you can see carbon dioxide, sulfur oxides, carbon monoxide, nitrogen oxides, particulates, hydrochloric acid, hydrogen fluoride, heavy metals like mercury, cadmium, lead, zinc, copper, nickel, chromium, etc., dioxins and furans. So these are mainly emissions of carbon dioxide as well as nitrous oxide. So normally methane is not generated in a waste incineration, because in normal operation methane is not, it only occurs when there is an incomplete combustion. So generation of methane actually indicates that the combustion is not complete. So only when there is incomplete combustion, methane is actually generated in a waste incineration process or operation. Actually carbon dioxide constitutes the chief climate relevant emission of the waste incineration, and it is considerably higher than the other emissions. In fact, the incineration of 1 milligram of municipal waste in MSW incinerators is actually associated with the production or release of about 0.7 to 1.2 milligram of carbon dioxide. The output is say 0.7 to 1.2 milligrams of carbon dioxide. So we can say that the proportion of the carbon of biogenic origin is usually in the range of 33 to 50%. And now we'll just see each one of the pollutants in detail. So we know that the operation of the combustion process actually plays an important role in the formation of these pollutants, and we'll just see each of it. So carbon dioxide or CO2, it is one of the main products of incineration, and the other main product apart from carbon dioxide is water. And at low concentration, carbon dioxide actually has no short-term effect or any irritating effect. But if it is present in, we know that it is present in abundant in the atmosphere, and it is very much necessary for the plant life. And normally it is not considered as a pollutant. Nevertheless, due to the high increase in the global concentration of carbon dioxide, it is also recognized as one of the gases responsible for global warming. So that's about carbon dioxide. Carbon monoxide, as I already told you, carbon monoxide is actually an indication that the complete combustion of the waste has not happened. So an incomplete combustion of carbon due to the lack of oxygen forms carbon monoxide or CO, and this is a very toxic gas because it reacts with the hemoglobin in the blood, causing a decrease of available oxygen to the organisms. So this lack of oxygen produces various problems like headache, nausea, suffocation, and eventually death also. So carbon monoxide in the flue gas is actually, as told, it is used to monitor the incomplete combustion of various other emissions, such as like say unburnt hydrocarbons, and also it provides information on the performance of the incinerator on the whole. So how effective or how efficient is the incinerator can be actually, it is actually indicated by the release of carbon monoxide. Now sulfur oxides. Sulfur oxide, the emission of sulfur oxide is actually a direct result of the oxidation of the sulfur that is present in the solid waste. Various other conditions like the type of the incinerator used and its operating conditions also influences the production of SOx or sulfur oxide. Approximately 90% of the sulfur oxide emissions are sulfur dioxide. So here X indicates a number. So mostly the major or the most the major emission of sulfur in the form of sulfur oxide is sulfur dioxide. So this leads to the production of again sulfur dioxide leads to the production of sulfurous acid and sulfuric acid, thus increasing the acidity of rain. So at high concentrations it also causes eye, nose and throat irritations and also other respiratory problems. So again this is also a major pollutant that is released on account of incineration. So next is nitrogen oxides. So nitrogen oxide is predominantly it is formed during the incineration process. However, they oxidize to nitrogen dioxide in the atmosphere. And nitrogen oxide is formed from two main sources, that is thermal nitrogen oxide and fuel nitrogen oxide. So in thermal formation, the oxygen and nitrogen react in the air. And in fuel nitrogen oxide, it is formed by the reaction of oxygen and nitrogen in the fuel. So nitrogen dioxides are important because they participate in several processes in the atmospheric chemistry, and they are also precursors of the formation of ozone and also PAN, preoxyacetyl nitrite, PAN and ozone. So these photochemical oxidants are responsible for smog formation, and also it causes acid rain. Now the particulates, so these are actually formed during the combustion process by several mechanisms. The turbulence in the combustion chambers may carry some ash into the exhaust flow, and also other inorganic materials present in the waste volatilize at combustion temperature and later condense downstream to form particles or deposits on the ash particles. And the main component of fly ash is chemically inert silica, but it may also contain toxic metal and organic substance. Hydrochloric acid. Hydrochloric acid results from the high concentration of chlorine containing materials. say like PVC, like plastic, etc., in the solid waste. And chlorine is easily, the chlorine dissolves easily in water to form hydrochloric acid. So its presence in the gaseous state may increase the acidity of the local rain and also the groundwater, which can damage exposed and unprotected metal surfaces. It can erode the buildings and also may affect the stabilization of heavy metals in the soil. Next is hydrogen fluoride. So it is actually more corrosive and toxic than hydrochloric acid, although its presence in the emissions from solid waste incinerators occurs in small quantities. It is formed due to the presence of trace amounts of fluorine in the waste. Now coming to heavy metals, so we can see there are heavy metals, there are many types that are available in the solid waste in the form of mercury, cadmium, lead, zinc, copper, nickel, chromium, etc. Solid waste contains heavy metals and metallic compounds in the combustible as well as in incombustible fractions. So during the incineration process, metals may vaporize directly, or it may form oxides or chlorides at high temperature in the combustion zone. They condensate over other particles and leave the incineration process in the flue gas. So these are also again very harmful to the atmosphere, or it may lead to pollution of air. Finally, the dioxins and furans. So polychlorinated dibenzo P dioxin, so it's called PCDD, and also polychlorinated dibenzofurans, PCDF. They have been detected in the emissions from the solid waste incinerators. So these dioxins can be formed in all combustion processes where organic carbon, oxygen and chlorine are present. And although the processes by which they are formed during incineration are not completely understood, so it is not very clear like how they are formed during this process, still the main concern over dioxins and furans has increased after a great study or of a number of animal studies which has shown that for some species they are carcinogenic and also very highly toxic, even when the exposure is too less low or too low level of exposure also leads to various ailments like cancer and other ailments. So we can say that dioxins and furans are again highly toxic. So these are the various emissions from incineration process. So this is also a very important part of incineration, the incineration effluent gas composition. Thank you.